if I needed a real estate deal in the next 30 days, this is what I would do step by step. Now, for those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Tommy Mutchler, aka The Lazy Agent. However, I'm also a managing broker and realtor with Real Broker. I have been for about 8 years, with my best year being in 2022, when I did over $332,000 in real estate commission while working less than 10 hours a week through automating my real estate business. And no, I did not have a team. I did not have an ISA or any of those fancy things. I did it all myself as a solo agent through technology and automation. And now my mission is to help realtors do the same thing. Now, when I hear someone say, I need a deal in the next 30 days, there's usually two type of people that I hear say that. There's usually the person that actually means I need a deal yesterday, I messed up, and I can't pay my mortgage in the next 30 days. That's a totally different mentality than the person that says they need a deal in the next 30 days, because that could just be someone like, I need more deals. I got some deals closing, I need to get some more under contract, and I don't have anything lined up, but I got to get something going. So I want to address both of these, but first I want to talk about the guy who needs a deal like yesterday. I can't pay my mortgage in the next 30 days. Like, I need a deal this very second. We'll address the other guy here in a second, because I think that's really, really important as well. But if you're that person, you're not going to be able to pay your bills next month. Well, first off, I'm sorry. That's not a fun place to be in. I've been there a couple of times. It's 100% my fault. I'm going to take responsibility for that because, I wasn't necessarily doing the things that I was told to do. But that said, I was also given some really bad advice as a real estate agent. Like, I've been selling for 8 years and I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on courses and coaching, probably close to $100,000 now at this point, if I were to add it all up. And the unfortunate reality is, for people like me and you, if you need a deal in the next 30 days or this very second, there's a lot of bad advice out there from people who really have either never really sold real estate before, or they're just regurgitating something they've heard from someone else and have never actually done the thing they're telling you to do before. So that's something I try to do, is I try to give advice that I actually have done and not just some regurgitated nonsense that someone else has said before. And when the first time I needed to get a deal like yesterday was probably in 2016, I was licensed for a few months. I switched to a few different brokerages where the brokerages promised me the world. And long story short, they didn't actually help me at all. And I found myself at Keller Williams, and the head person that was running the Keller Williams, great guy. He took me under his wing. He was an ex-Army Ranger. And he's like, you're going to get into this office at 5 a.m. and we are going to start pounding the phones. You're going to sit in my office. There's like 200 agents at this Keller Williams at the time. I'm really grateful that he took me under his wing and he just had me sit down and like, you're going to call, like, no exceptions. You're going to call. And it was awful. Like, cold calling's not fun, but I was able to get several deals within a couple of weeks, all lined up from cold calling. Now I was cold calling expireds, mostly a little bit of canceled. I did some FSBOs. I haven't had a ton of luck with FSBOs, and I called everyone in my sphere, and it sucked. It was not fun, but it saved me because within about 30 days, I ended up getting about 3 deals under contract, which made me about $50,000. And in 2016, when I first got into real estate, like, that's like the most money I've ever made in an entire year. So being able to do that, which was really, really cool. However, realistically, it wasn't sustainable. At this point, I had a previous job cold calling pastors, selling them Bible software. I've done like over $50,000 at this point. And there's just no way I could cold call long term. So basically, I did what I had to do in that moment to get some deals under contract, but it wasn't a long-term solution to my problem of lead generation, because my whole philosophy at this point in my new real estate career, and remember, I came from cold calling before, was to build a simple, predictable, automated real estate business. And that really started with lead generation. So I had some cash. I was good for a couple of months, but I still needed some deals in the future because I was basically done cold calling. Obviously, I could keep doing it if I had to, but like at the end of the day, I needed deals relatively quickly because, of course, commission's going to dry up in time. And obviously, when I say I made like $50,000 in commission, I actually had a terrible split. So I actually only got to keep like 40% of it. So it didn't really even last me that long, right? So that was the bad part. We'll talk about that later, maybe in another video. But regardless, the clock was ticking. I basically had 60, maybe 90 days to build this predictable lead generation machine. And if I'm being really honest, I actually had a lot of failures. So I actually did end up going back to cold calling because I didn't really know what to do. Obviously, I was paying all these coaches and buying all these courses and programs, and they're all telling me to do these different things that really just involved harassing people to, begging people to work with me. If you've been watching my content at all for a while, I know I'm on the smaller side and I'm growing, but I'm a big believer in attracting leads as opposed to chasing after them. However, if you need need a deal in a pinch, like chasing leads does 100% work. It's just not a long-term sustainable model for most real estate agents, myself included. So fast forward a couple of years of painful learning, this is what I would do if I was going to build a predictable, simple lead generation machine that would be popping out deals left and right moving forward. In fact, this is the same strategy I'm actually using inside of my Lazy Agent business. So I'm not a hypocrite, because not only did I do it in my real estate business, I actually do it in this Lazy Agent business, because obviously this is the new way I make money. I still make money from real estate referrals in my real estate business, but this is my new passion moving forward. Now, before we dive into generating real estate leads, let's talk about the different ways. Actually, there's really just 8 different ways that one could generate real estate leads. Now, I got this analogy from Alex Hormozi. I think it's a really great way to look at lead generation moving forward. If you are working for yourself, so it's just you generating leads, there's really only 4 ways that you can generate leads, and that is cold one-to-one outreach. So that's you cold calling someone. So that could be a cold call, it could be a door knock, it could be sending an Instagram DM. That's you reaching out to someone who does not know you. Okay, so that's one way. The second way is a warm one-to-one outreach. So that's you reaching out to someone who does know you. Maybe it's a lead that you've been working with for a while. It could be a family member, it could be a friend, it could be a Facebook, it could be an Instagram follower, it could be someone that knows who you are. That's considered a warm reach out, but it's still one-to-one. The third way you can generate a lead yourself is by doing warm one-to-many. This is generally seen as content creation. By the way, this is what I do. I do warm one-to-many. So I'm creating content for people who know and like me. And obviously more people are coming into my content world, which is the Lazy Agent channel or the Lazy Agent brand, which, by the way, not only generates the best and highest quality leads, but it's also probably one of the hardest things to get rolling and get started at first. But once you get the momentum, it's probably the best way to generate leads. The fourth way you can generate leads yourself is by doing advertisements. So this is a cold one-to-many. So we had a cold one-to-one, we had a warm one-to-one, we have a warm one-to-many, which is content creation, and now we have a cold one-to-many, which is advertising. And as far as I know, these are the only 4 ways that a single person can generate real estate leads. Now, there are 4 more ways that you can generate leads, but they involve other people. So one of those is going to be referrals. So that's going to be someone referring you business. You can hire an agency. So that would be someone like these Facebook ads you see are like, I guaranteed you 5 booked appointments in 5 days, or you don't pay. So like one of those companies, they're an agency. Realtor.com is considered an agency. Zillow is considered an agency because they are selling leads to you. Okay, so it's another person doing the lead generation for you on your behalf. The 7th way would be employee referrals. So this would be like hiring an ISA to cold call leads for you and schedule appointments. And the 8th way is doing some sort of affiliate partnership where you're basically paying someone to send you business. This could also be kind of seen as like a Zillow Flex referral program. However, I would like to encourage you not to do these last 4 ways, at least not in first, because usually it requires some sort of capital unless you're trying to get referrals from people. And I also find them to be less predictable because you're not in control of them. And they can also be really, really expensive. For example, Zillow leads are by far the most expensive real estate leads out there today. So when it comes to lead generation, I would pick one of the first 4, which is a cold outreach one-to-one, a warm outreach one-to-one, a warm one-to-many, which is generally content creation, and then a cold one-to-many, which again is generally advertising. Now, I would pick one of these core 4 and only one. This is where most people mess up, is they try to do too many things at once. They try to do cold calling, they try to contact their sphere, they try to do paid advertising, like start a real estate farm and start farming an entire neighborhood and just blowing their entire budget in the matter of a month. And then you're trying to make content. And that's usually the advice that we get from all these coaches. You got to be doing all these things. What I would do if I were you, and I do this, I did this in my real estate business and I do this in my Lazy Agent business, is I would pick one. So for me, that's content creation. That's what I know. It's what I like. It does take a little bit of time to get up and going, but it generates the best and highest quality leads as far as I'm concerned. And it's actually, ironically, the least amount of work. So you get the most bang for your buck and you're working less. Now here's step 2. Once you pick your lead generation channel, for me, it's content creation. So I'll primarily use that as an example. example, you're going to need to do a high volume of that activity and get better. This is a more better strategy. Okay. So it's kind of hard. It's kind of confusing. I actually got really stuck here with this concept for several years. It took me a while to figure it out. I actually talked about it in the last podcast episode with our more, better, new framework. And the idea goes something like this. If I were to be cold calling or doing cold outreaches, I would do a minimum of 100 outreaches a day, if not more. If I had time and I had nothing else going on, I would probably be doing 200, 300, 400 cold calls, cold DMs, cold emails. And cold emails are emails you're sending manually. It's not like a bulk auto send. You're writing personal touched emails to people. And I would do it at a minimum 100 a day. Same thing with content creation. Right now, my content creation strategy is I need to create 100 minutes worth of content. So this podcast that I'm creating is part of my 100 a day content creation strategy. Okay. Now I can't create 100 pieces of content. And even if I did create 100 pieces of content a day, I probably shouldn't be posting that much because you can get audience fatigue and things like that. And that's where the better comes into. So first, do as much as you possibly can. All right. Or at least as much as you possibly can regarding best practice. Then you need to make it better. Now I like to follow the 1% rule when making things better. So I only will make something 1% better. So before I post a piece of content, I'll say, hey, what can I do to make this piece of content just 1% better? I can't make it perfect because if I try to make it perfect, I'm going to suffer from analysis paralysis. However, you need to be improving every single day because if you're not, your content strategy is never going to work and you're never going to generate leads if you're not constantly improving. And the best way for me to do that is to just try to make it better by 1% every single day, which if you do the math on that means it's going to be 38 times better in about a year, which is significant. If I was cold calling, I would do the same thing. I would record all the calls. I would listen back to the best calls I made. I would listen back to the worst calls that I made. I'm like, okay, what did I do wrong? What did I do right? What can I improve on in the next call? Okay, like you got to be reviewing your gameplay footage to get better. And this is something I actually did when I worked at Faithlife. I would always review what I was doing and I would always strategize how can I make it a little bit better, which is one of the reasons I became the top sales guy at Faithlife when I was cold calling. Advertising is a very similar thing. When you're doing advertising, first up, you should be spending at least a minimum of $100 a day. I know probably most of you don't have that in your budget just yet, but if you were, that's what I would do. Otherwise, I don't really find it to be worth it. I would do like content creation or cold outreach instead until I had the capital to do something like that. But if you do have the money, I would spend at least $100 a day on lead generation for advertisement. And every single day, I would create a new ad. I would look at the ads that are working and then I would try to make new ads that are even better. Okay. Advertising, the thing about advertising that most people don't realize is it really is a content game. It's very similar to content creation in the sense that you're creating content and then you're just paying to get the views, which can be incredibly effective. But if you're not constantly making new and better content the exact same way with our content strategy, it's going to fail and you're going to have really expensive ads costs. You're not going to get any conversions. You're not going to get any more booked appointments. So that's why it's really, really important that you need to be spending time, regardless of the activity you choose, is obviously do as much as you can of it and then constantly do everything you can to make it better. And that includes buying courses, watching YouTube videos, reading blogs, like doing whatever you can to learn and research and see what is working, what do the experts recommend, and then just doing it and finding out what works for you. Because I'm guaranteed you, everyone's different, your niche is different, and no one is going to hand you the magic bullet that is going to guarantee success. You kind of got to figure it out yourself. However, luckily for you, there are a lot of guides out there who can give you really good advice and get you going on the right path. However, you're responsible for walking because they're not going to push you down the path. They're just going to point you in the right direction. People like me are just going to point you in the right direction. You're still responsible for walking down that path. Now, here's the deal. Once you pick one lead generation channel and you're making as much content for it as you possibly can, and you've made it as best as you possibly can, you should be swimming in leads at this point. You should have more leads than you know what to do with, and you should be referring them out to other agents in your office, maybe even starting a team if you want to. That is a lot of work, by the way, just so you know. Starting a team is not all what it's cracked up to be, which is why I just now refer leads out. But once you are done doing as much as possible and has made it as good as you possibly can, which is probably not possible, by the way, there's always room for improvement on your content creation strategy, it's probably time to start automating some of it. Now, you really can't automate all of it unless you build like a cold calling team. Even then, it's still only going to be partially partially automated. You're still gonna have to do something. For me, like automating content, what that looks like for me is I have a team of VAs, but automation for me, at least in my business, is I'm at the point where I still have to make the content. I still have to record it, although I'm much better at it now. I can produce it a lot faster. However, I have a team of people that I pass on my content to. So I just upload everything I have into a Google Drive. They will go through it, they will screen it, they will edit it, they will make it better, and they will post it for me on my behalf. So really, when I'm making content every day, I'm really only spending, honestly, about 100 minutes. So I'm doing my 100 and I'm making content for about 100 minutes. I reflect on it, review it. I'm like, okay, what can I do to make it better? And it allows me to spend the least amount of time as possible creating content, because honestly, editing it, researching it, posting it probably takes significantly more time than actually creating it. Just pro tip. So for me, while I can never fully automate my lead generation, at least maybe not for now, maybe in the future I could go all in on advertising or leverage AI to pretend to be me, though AI video does not work very well. So I don't care who you are, what you say, AI video is not there yet. It probably won't be for a very, very long time. Regardless, my lead generation strategy now is 80% automated. Maybe we can get to 100% at some point, but right now we're just chilling at 80%, which is fine because I like doing this actually. So this is fun for me, and all the boring work goes to my editor and my team. And sorry guys, but they're probably rolling their eyes right now, but they do all the heavy lifting for me, which is really, really nice. So again, if you need a deal in the next 30 days, pick a single lead generation channel. Do as much as you possibly can for that lead generation channel. Then every single day, make it just 1% better until you can't make it any more better. And that includes buying courses, buying programs, watching YouTube videos, reading blogs, hiring coaches, doing whatever you can to make these things better. And they are investments, okay? This is not like frivolous money you're wasting. Like I just spent $800 to talk to someone for an hour to help me with my YouTube strategy. And that was worth it. Like I probably spent about 15 grand on YouTube education. That's like courses and books and stuff like that. But it's also made me well over $500,000. So like that 15 grand was honestly, it's better than any college degree I could have gotten. But really it was an investment in towards the skill sets I needed to generate more leads and make more money. And I just say that because I know some people are kind of weird about spending money on education. You don't need to. For me, it's a time thing. Like you don't need to spend any money on any courses. Like you can learn everything you need to learn for free on the internet, especially with like a podcast like this. I'm trying to teach you as much strategies as I possibly can for free because I want to help you. However, the nice thing about courses, it kind of just saves you time and energy because it kind of condenses everything into an easy step-by-step action plan. And no, I don't have like YouTube course to sell you or anything like that, but I'm just saying sometimes it's easier just to go that route and just buy the information, get the answers you need, talk to the experts, get the clarity you want so you can start taking massive imperfect action so you can reach your goals. I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, it's financial freedom. Like I want to get to the point where I could do whatever I want with my family and bless the crap out of them. Now, with that said, hopefully you found this podcast helpful. If you did, I would love for you to share it with a friend who needs a deal in the next 30 days. Otherwise, my name's Tommy Mutchler, your lazy agent, and I will see you in the next one.